One. Good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a fabulous morning. Hope you have your nice little cup of warm something, something.
No,
Mine
and
is
mine too.
Earl Grey tea today, and it is so good. I have some of my homemade honey in it, and it is good. My bees make the best honey, and it's the thickest honey I've ever seen in my life, as the other people who have tried it have seen how thick it is. It is amazing. So, anyway, we have a great show for you today. I'm Carol Henderson. I have Life by Design, and I help you to circle up your life. Let's get that circle up going and get better and better with every move you make. You have a choice, and it's your choice. So choose wisely. And I'm here with my wonderful co-host. We've been visiting already off camera. And
Yep.
yeah, it's just catching up over the weekend. My husband has a book that he's finished, and Barbara's looking over it for us. And we still need the cover art. And I need to get something out about that today. I did the other day, but it was in the car and it was noisy. So
Couldn't
yeah,
understand it.
I've got to redo it. And so yeah, it's a glorious day. It's a new day. Everybody always thinks, oh well, I need to start things on the first. Well, this is the first of the week. This is
Yeah.
actually it's the second day of the week because
Yeah.
Sunday's the first day. But this is the first work day. And so most people look at it as a beginning. And so choose today, choose wisely what your week is going to be like. Start with gratefulness. What are
Yep.
you grateful for this morning?
Yep.
Before I just take up the whole time, I'll bring on my wonderful co-host,
Yeah.
ABarbaraEllison.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Monday Motivations. That's one of the things that I love about this show. I mean, Carol and I, we are just raw and real. And sometimes we talk about each other, sometimes we talk to each other, and sometimes we talk over each other. So, and you know what? But isn't that the way life is?
And isn't
You know,
that what a friendship is?
and that's what a friendship is. For me, I'm on a mission to make happiness the norm rather than the exception. And part of happiness is having a friend like that
Mhm.
you can just say anything to,
Not be judged.
not be judged, and then can say, hey, you hurt my feelings, you know, and
Yeah.
be honest with. And that's the kind of camaraderie that we want to bring to this show, because you know what? If you don't have that with a personal friend, then come here. Come
Yeah.
and join us. We
And,
would
and
love
and
that.
write in the comments.
And
And
write
we
in the
told you, we'll
comments.
even send you a card, an inspirational
Ex-
card, if you send
exactly.
us your info.
Send us your mailing address. We would love to get in touch with you. And we are not going to come and stalk you, and we're not going to show up at your
Knock
door
on
and
your
expect you
Hi,
to
we're here
read
for
us.
coffee.
But if you are just feeling a need to make contact, have a little bit of balance between friendship and work. And if you're feeling a little overwhelmed or kind of or underwhelmed, that you can't seem to quite get yourself going, reach out to us. We would love to send you an inspirational card,
Yes.
and just a random card of just saying, hey, you showed up on our list today. One of those things. And because you know what? I truly believe that God has perfect timing, and the people show up when they're meant to show up.
That is so
So it just absolutely so. But the thing is, talking about some of the things that just show up. This morning, woke up and said, oh, today's Monday, Monday motivation. But right at that moment, as I was lying there in bed, I'm going to be honest with you, it was like, all right at this moment, I just really don't quite feel like getting up. So it
But
was like,
you've
all
been
right,
working
Barbara,
some long shifts
I've
and
been working some
day
long
after
shifts,
day.
had a busy work, and editing Keith's book has been a joy. but it has been hours of work.
Mhm.
Anyways, but this morning it was like, all right, Barbara, well, you do know that you cannot stay in bed for the entire day. So you do have to get up. So you can choose right at this moment. Talk about when Carol says that you can choose. So this morning it was like, Barbara, I mean, and I'm talking to myself here. Okay,
Did you
Barbara, you
answer
can
yourself?
choose. You what?
Did you answer yourself or did you argue?
Yes, I know. I answered myself. I said, Barbara, you can choose to get up reluctantly, or you can get up enthusiastically. And
Mm.
I went, you know what? I'm going to get up enthusiastically to meet the day, because this is the day that the Lord has made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it.
That's huge, Barbara. That is a huge nugget. If y'all got nothing else out of this morning, that is a huge nugget.
Huge time. The thing is, Carol, the things that Carol and I talk about on this show and on our other shows, the Aging Experts or Thoughtful Thursdays, this is what we talk about because we are real. The things that we talk about are the things that we deal with, or the things that we have to choose to do for ourselves. Life does not just happen for you. It happens to you, and with your consent and without your consent. The thing is though, is how you choose to deal with what happens to you is totally your choice.
I read
Totally your
I read a
choice.
thing a long time ago, and it was about that particular thing. And it was saying when something happens to you, you
Mhm.
90% of how that turns out is your response to it.
Do it. Exactly.
90%,
90%.
that if you respond negatively, you'll have a negative outcome. If you respond positively, and I'm not saying everything that happens good. When David
No.
died, that was
Yeah.
not something
That
that
was not
she
good.
wanted to walk through. That
Yeah.
is not something that she saw as good in her life, but she had a choice. When
Right.
Keith broke his back, we had a choice. And
Right.
those type things happen.
Yeah.
However, 90% of how we respond, I mean, of the outcome is how we respond.
And we respond.
90%. So if you choose to get up enthusiastically,
I
that's
chose, and it was
good.
a conscious choice this morning.
Yeah.
I had to make that choice because right at that moment, wasn't feeling it.
Well, and
Wasn't feeling it.
that's true so often.
Mhm.
We both have gotten busy. Keith's got the book going. We have some other things going on here. I've got the homestead. I'm pulling more of that weight right now, just temporarily, but I
Yeah.
am. And all of those things are going on. And it's like, oh, do we really have time to do a show today? It's like,
Mhm.
I need this. I
Yeah.
need this just as much as anybody
That's
else
right.
because I need to motivate me. And it causes me, just like Barbara said, to get up, show up, get up, make up, and show up.
Right.
Those
Exactly.
those are an old thing that people used to say in when I was doing like the modeling or the uh, skincare and that type, color analysts and makeup artists. It's like
Yeah.
get up, make up, and show up.
Show up. Right. And I think that's one of the things that well, anyway, so after that conversation with myself, Barbara, get up enthusiastically. Then I was thinking about, oh yeah, today's Monday morning. We're going to talk about what are we going to talk about? And I was like, and it just be aware of the things that pop into your head and take note of
Mhm.
them. So the thing that popped into my head was, I wonder what's trending in the area of personal development. So hey, I'm going to be honest with you. Google is my best friend. I love
I
Google.
thought I was.
Well, I mean, besides you, but my best technical friend, because you can ask Google anything. So I said, what's trending? Well, one of the things is of in wellness and personal development and self-care is circadian eating. And I went, and I said to Carol, I said, isn't that common sense? She said, for most people, no, it's not.
Oh, well, in our culture, especially,
In
we
our
tend, for
culture.
those of y'all that don't know what that is, we tend to eat, maybe a grab and go breakfast,
Grab
donut,
and go breakfast.
coffee, something really,
Coffee and a Danish. Breakfast of champions, I used to call it.
yeah. And then we have a semi lunch, and then we pig out at dinner. steak, baked potatoes, all this heavy, heavy food. And if you'll flip that, and I can't remember the whole quote, but the whole quote or the quote is eat breakfast like a king, lunch as I can't remember a dish.
A middle thing. Yeah.
Yeah, the middle thing, and eat supper like a pauper. And one thing with what we do, that we drink shakes, that we have a cutting edge, scientifically based program that you can take one thing or the whole thing, and even one thing that you change will drastically improve your life. And that's something that we consult with people on and help them to make those plans. But, you know, when she was looking this up, it's like a good full spectrum meal, something, everything. You want your protein, you want your carbs, you want your fats, you want your colors, you want all of those things. And we've got one step better. Okay.
Yeah.
Because we have a product that's 30 grams, and that's huge. Most things are 18 to 20, but 30 grams of totally absorbable protein. And and all the other things, but protein,
it's a full spectrum.
yes,
Full spectrum meal, grab and go.
Yeah, exactly. And so the beauty of it is that sets your day, sets your blood sugar, it sets your mindset, because your brain is fueled. You've got all this goodness in your body, and even though it's a grab and go, it's the same as if you sat down and ate steak and eggs for breakfast, only even better, because you're going to have a better spectrum and you'll digest more. People don't realize, they say, oh, I'm eating protein. Well, you only get like about half-ish of the protein that's on the package once it's cooked, once it's chewed, once it's digested.
Right.
You get just a fraction. So if you think you're getting X number of protein, think again. And that's one thing we know, how we have been taught how to gauge how much protein you need. There is a system to know.
It's a formula.
It's a formula. How much protein you need in your diet daily to work at your optimum. And if you've had any kind of gastric surgery, sleeve bypass, all of those things, you need to talk to us, because one of the main things people have had happen with those surgeries is that they are not getting enough nutrition, and therefore oftentimes they get sick. They can't, they can only eat a fraction of what they were before. And so even before, people were, they were malnourished, but now they have a fraction of that. And we can flip the switch on that, and we can flip that switch on that with one product. We have several products that will even make that better. But give us a call, because if you are struggling at all in any way after having that surgery, we need to talk.
Yeah. And we're,
if you're thinking
we don't
about
want to make right. Yeah. I mean, we don't want to make this into a buy our product show. However, we do believe that people need to know. So that was our blatant, that this is what we do. And if that's something you're interested in, great. The thing is though, what happens that when we do switch to circadian eating, but the circadian clock is when you wake up, you naturally wake up. And if you don't know what your circadian rhythm is, take a few days to just set, if you have like a vacation, take 4 or 5 days and set no alarms, and just see what time you actually wake up.
Well,
and I remember when I did it.
Yeah.
And when you go to sleep and when you wake up. And I remember when I did it, it was like, oh yay, I'm awake around 5 after 5 every morning. Pretty much that's my routine, 5 to 5:30. I might be up and do stuff and then go back. Yes, I've done that too. Your body knows. Listen to your body. Listen to your body. So often we just go, and then can't figure out. And you're talking to the choir here. There have been a couple of times where I have been burning the candle at both ends and couldn't figure out why I got to the middle. And then I was down for several days.
Yeah, well, and we've talked about that on the show.
And we've talked about that.
Mhm.
And that happens to any of us. And that happened, but now I am much more aware because I do not want to do that again.
The last gift my daddy gave me before he died was a candle. And it was a candle, and it had it was kind of twisted in the middle and both things up here. And,
Yeah.
it was burning your candle at both
Both
ends.
ends. Yeah.
And yeah.
And exactly. So just, yeah. But however, I will say this. So if you do have a season that you do need to burn the candle at both ends, make sure you're fueling the candle.
Yes. Make sure there's enough wax there.
Make sure that there's enough wax there. And that's where I've kind of been this week. I've just had a lot on my plate this week. But you know what? I'm taking a lot of extra stuff to handle it. And then this morning when I woke up, it was like, all right, Barbara, you can choose to wake up grumpy, or you can choose to wake up enthusiastic. And it was like I had the physical wherewithal to say, hey, yeah, I'm gonna wake up enthusiastically. And I love my life.
And if you had not been fueling properly,
Oh,
you probably would have chosen the other
I
way.
would have, yeah. Or
because
I wouldn't, and it wouldn't even have been that I chose it. I would have just done it by default.
and
And
that's still a choice.
But it's still a choice. But when you can consciously make a choice and have the fuel to do it with, oh, it just makes your life so much easier. It comes into that work-life balance.
Yes.
Because when you are, like, we have talked about this many times, and anytime anybody gets on an airplane, you always hear this: put on your oxygen mask first, because if you don't have your oxygen mask on first, you cannot possibly help anybody else. And that is exactly the truth of how you spend your day.
Yes.
When you start your day, fuel it with good fuel, physical fuel, food, nutritional fuel.
Well, okay, you said physical fuel.
And physical
you also
fuel.
have to do your spiritual fuel.
Exactly. That was my next thing.
I knew it probably was.
I do that
I wanted
first.
to interrupt you.
I know you love interrupting me, but I interrupt you too.
But seriously, if you don't start with your quiet time, is what I call it. Some people call it meditation. I get up, I journal,
right.
I pray, I read the scripture. Yeah. And if you don't, and you need to carve out some time for that, whether it's 10 minutes or 2 hours, that's between you and God. But start your day. That's the same as fueling with a king breakfast, is spending time with the king. Yep. And it makes a difference. It makes a difference. And if anybody needs to know about that, we'll talk to you about that too.
Sure. You just want to chit chat about what we do. Like for me, I mean, I start with gratitude. Thank you, Lord, that I have eyes to see, ears to hear, arms to hold, a heart to love. And that starts
breathing.
And I'm breathing, that I've got breath in that welcome to the day.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I'm going to tell. Yesterday morning, this is a good thing. Yesterday morning, outside on my deck, and I think I've mentioned this before, but sometimes depending on the cycle of the moon and the moon, I walked out yesterday morning. The sky was so bright and so full of stars. To see the Big Dipper and to see Orion, the constellation Orion. And I'm gonna have to look up how far Orion is from us, but you can see the 3 stars of Orion's belt. And outside, and there I was standing on my back deck, letting my dog out. And it was like in awe and wonder. Oh, and if you ever want to feel special, first thing in the morning, go outside and look up. It is awe-inspiring.
And hopefully you live in a place where you can see the stars. If
that
you're
you
in the
can see
city,
the
you might
stars.
can't. But I
Yes.
will tell you, if you're wondering about the stars, there is an amazing app on your phone that you can get on your phone.
Yeah.
I have a Droid, but it is the constellations. And the really cool one, I've had a couple of them, but like I could sit and do my phone down and it tells me what the constellation on the exact opposite of the earth is from me.
Oh,
And
wow. I'll have to look at that.
you can do it. You would love it, but you
I'll
can
kind of
do
look at that.
it. Our spiritual daughter was up here one time and we started playing with it. And we're out on the porch doing, oh, look at that and look at that. And it literally, whatever your phone is looking at, you know how they build it in the app. Don't ask me how, but anyway, and it will pull up the constellation and tell you exactly.
Yeah.
So if you're not great, I mean, you know, Keith can tell you all the constellations.
Oh,
He can pick
I
them
know
out.
Orion and I
Yeah.
know the Big Dipper.
Yeah, and stuff. And but I mean, if you don't have those little tools in your tool belt, this thing is so cool because it gets them all. And you can actually even pan the sky and see all the different stars and what they are. And
Yeah.
so definitely a fun app to have.
Yeah. I'll have to do that. Because like for me, I'm blessed that I live far out, I live pretty far out of Chicago and surrounded by, and this right now, this is fall. Well, we are in harvest.
Mm.
And so we really have to be aware of farm vehicles because they're much slower and they cross over our highways. And anyway, so yesterday I had so much fun. I went to have dinner with my youngest son. And so we meet like half an hour. So on the way home, of course, I'm going through all of the places that they're harvesting. And with the first year that I moved out here, never even thought anything of it. And you were talking about dust and it reminded me of it. And I went, why is I have just dusted. And 5 minutes later, it looked like I hadn't touched it. And finally I said, one day I was complaining to one of my friends. She said, well, Barb, this is harvest. You don't dust until after harvest,
So
unless you're having company. And I said, what? She said, you don't bother dusting until after harvest. Well, last night on my way home, I literally drove through a harvest dust cloud.
mhm,
I was like, why is it so foggy? It was so thick, it was like fog.
mhm.
And then I was like, what is, and I'm like driving, I'm like, what? And then, of course, and I was like, oh, right. It was totally a harvest dust cloud. And
Right.
so you just, yeah. So, just the fun things that you don't think about. And then, yeah. So dusting, yeah. So
Well,
where I live,
I've
yeah,
got
we
to
don't
tell
dust until after
a
harvest.
quick story on my parents. Uh, my mom grew up in Houston. Daddy grew up in Fort Worth, and they met out at Alpine, Texas. She was at Sul Ross University. Um, anyway, they married. They end up moving to Amarillo. Well, you know, yes, there is dirt and dust in Fort Worth and Houston, but not like in the panhandle of Texas. And in the they married in 47, but in the late 40s, early 50s, there the Dust Bowl wasn't going on. But when I was little, I can remember it as a very small child, that every Friday, and my mom was a teacher, but every Friday, this big dust storm would blow in. And now we would probably call it a hubob or whatever. Back then, people didn't know what was going on the other side of the world, so they didn't have those names. But it was just like a dust storm would blow in and the dirt would come in the windows no matter how well used. I mean, people would take and put like a damp towel at the bottom of their windows to try to help stop it. And one day my mom found me. She'd gotten me all ready to go to school. I'm sure it was to the babysitter, but to school. And so she got me ready and she was getting herself finished, ready to get to class. And I had crawled up and I was sitting in the sink of the bathroom trying to wash the dust off of me.
Yeah.
Because I don't like being dirty. And here I am farming. But but my dad would come home. This is before I came along, and he would come home at lunch and he would literally run his finger around the window sills and kind of look at it. And so that set in my mom a thing about, kind of a passive aggressive, I'll get you. When I was growing up, we had a grand piano down in our living room and everything. And rather than dust it during the dustier seasons, she would date the dust.
Ah, now that would be fun. That would be fun. That would be something I would do.
And it was a massive place.
Yeah.
But she was a school teacher. And so she would come home and she would grade papers till 12, 1, 2 o'clock.
Right.
She usually took a nap and then got up and graded papers. And so she really didn't have time to be little housewife, but
Right.
she could date the dust.
Date to dust. I mean, it was just, and that was yesterday. It was totally cloud. And I probably was, it was at least a half a mile, if not longer, that I was in it.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, brother, and this is coming towards me. And depending on which way the wind was blowing, that's how bad you get it.
Yeah.
But you know what? In the city, I guess in the city, it's like having smog, so it's all relative. But for me, it was like, oh, brother, I had forgotten what it's like to go through a harvest dust cloud. So, but anyways, so
Okay. Well,
this has been fun conversation.
This has been fun. This has been fun. And you do sometimes wait. We had a dust storm come through bad on Wednesday and Thursday. And I'm like, oh, golly, I've got to dust. I've got to vacuum. You could see dust on the floor and you walk through it. I mean, it didn't make the footprints. It wasn't that bad yet. But anyway, and then I was gone Friday. And so Saturday I came home. I'm going, I've got to do this. I have got to do this. And so I still have a little more to do, but our dust storm was so bad that I had something sitting in the floor. And when I moved it, you could see the outline.
Yeah.
A major outline. But and we tend to keep our windows open, but Wednesday it was windy, but it didn't seem dusty dirty. Sometimes it does, but it didn't seem dusty dirty. And so Keith didn't close the doors. And I was in town at Bible study. He didn't close the door and the windows. And I'm like, oh my. And he was going, I had no idea.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And that's the thing too. Sometimes you just have no idea of what's going on. And that's okay too.
And that's true in life.
That's a part of life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so you have to go do the cleanup because you didn't realize what was actually going on.
So anyways, have a great week.
Well, and so click like and share. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe, ring the little bell so that you know that it's time, that when we put something up, and we will see you. And if you want a card, just go and ask us to send you one.